Hey everybody, Chris the old ass retro gamer here. Today I'm going to be discussing WTF games. What do I mean by WTF games? WTF games are games that you had high expectations for and just completely let you down. Games that just seem so cool on the surface, and then when you play them, it's like, what? Games that are so bad, they make you say, what the f***?
What's your profanity?
But I'm not alone in this. I have 3 guests who are going to share stories about their WTF games as well. And who might that be? Felix from RAD Game Reviews, John Riggs of RIGG'd Games, and Wood from You're Watching Wood and BetEmUps. So what is a good example of a WTF game? I've discussed one of mine a couple of times before, and that is Way of the Warrior for the 3DO. Why is it a WTF game? I wanted this game, Way of the Warrior, so bad, I sold my entire Sega Genesis and Sega CD collection to get a 3DO so I can play this game. Because I'm a huge fan of Mortal Kombat, and this game is a Mortal Kombat clone. Therefore, I needed to have it in my life. I was willing to do anything it took to get it. I want to say within a half an hour to an hour of playing this for the first time ever, I was like, oh my god, this game is just completely awful on almost every conceivable level. The graphics, while they look cool, while it does have white zombie music playing during every single fight, the controls, the mechanics of the game, it's just so bad. It made me angry, and I was so furious at myself for selling all that stuff just so I can play this. It took me a while to get over that, but I did eventually. So this is an example of a WTF game. For me, high hopes, just completely crushed by the actual product. So now let's hear from Felix from RAD Game Reviews to hear about some of his WTF experiences.
Hello, I'm Felix the Brett with RAD Reviews on YouTube. If you want to check out some of my NES playthroughs, I do them every once in a while. I don't keep up with it that well, but there are several on there. But the old ass retro gamer has asked me to do some WTF games, which I call a 1 out of 10 game, which means the game does actually work. But here we go. To start off, I'm going to start with the Aladdin Deck Enhancer for the Nintendo. This is kind of like a Game Genie. If you're not aware of the Aladdin Deck Enhancer, it played a different variant of game cartridge that was supposed to run at a better speed. Kind of like the 32X for the Genesis, if you know what that is. Regardless, the Aladdin Deck Enhancer, with promises of all these other games. But all we got was Linus Spacehead, which I could already buy on the console. Big Nose Freaks Out, which I could already buy on the console. Quattro Sports, which I could already buy on the console. Quattro Adventure, which I could already buy on the console. This Dizzy Adventures, which I could already buy on the console. Micro Machines, which I could already buy on the console. Thanks, Aladdin Deck Enhancer and Codemasters, for releasing the same things I could already play. Coming up next, which is obvious, well maybe not obvious, but once I show it to you, the Action 52, 52 turds. Thanks. Now I've got a double team thing here. I've got Dudes with Attitude. If you've never played this, you're a little head that bounces back and forth and collects colors to knock out things. Could be a good puzzle game, but it's not. This is awful. And to make it worse, Trolls on Treasure Island in America is the same game as Dudes with Attitude, except you're a troll. And this one plays better. This one's actually better than that one. So they looked at Dudes with Attitude and they went, how can I make this terrible thing a little bit better but still be a turd? They did it with Trolls on Treasure Island. Now, if you were one of those kids whose parents was like, we're not going to have a TV, and then you finally got one, you got it, you hooked it up, your parents get you a Nintendo, but they're on the heavy Christian side, all games are evil, Mario's an evil monster, the Zelda thing, there's wizardry, and you got those Bible games. Well, you could have got the game Sunday Fun Day, where you're skateboarding and learning about the Bible. Now, to make this game even better, Wisdom Tree, which later became Color Dreams, released the exact same game where it's not a Christian version, but it's the same game. and they're both ridiculously expensive now. This one, I don't know, it's over 100 at least. This one's up around 300 or 400 because it was so bad no one bought it, and if they did, they just realized it was this game. Here's two games, skateboarding games, that aren't worth playing. Except in this one, you get to save this sexy girl that is just mean. Once you read the opening scene of what she says to you, you're like, you know what, I don't even want to save you, and you put another game in. Back to it, the YouTube, my #1 viewed thing. I think I was the first person to upload a full playthrough of this because I had to do a show on Beat It or Die Trying because I get to play all the crappy Color Dreams games, which I'm fine with. Castle of Deceit. This game looks awesome. Every little kid would have bought this. Look how awesome this looks. And then you put it in, and you're a dark-haired boy or girl with really bad Merlin cosplay on. And it's kind of platformer in some areas. The bosses turn into like a shoot 'em up where you're shooting upwards towards the actual bosses. But the game is just terrible. It's got the jump where you go, hurrah, thank you. But there's levels in this where doors are that you wouldn't even realize it was a door unless you pressed up. I'm glad I figured all this crap out, and I never have to play it again, and I can put it back on the wall. But there's Castle of Deceit. If you want one, I think they're like $200 or $300 now. It's ridiculous. Look at me throwing them. Well, that's my time. I hope you enjoyed my WTF games. But I'm Felix the Brett with Bad Rad. Again, check out my channel. I'd like to thank Chris, the old-ass retro gamer, for inviting me to do this, and hopefully we get to do a few more things, and everyone has a fantastic day. Have a good one. None of these games are rad.
I have never played any of those games. Probably a good thing. This next game was the first NES game I ever saw. The first time I ever saw an NES was at my friend Jeff's house when I was probably in junior high. His parents had just bought it for him, and I was really excited to see it because I have heard nothing but cool things about it. Go to his house, pops this game in. I was looking at the box for it. I thought it looked amazing. The title of it sounded really cool and kind of edgy. The art on the front, it was like Conan-y. I was like, I love Conan stuff. I love fantasy. And even though what was on the back, what the game looked like, didn't really look anything like what the box art was promising, I was like, yes, this game is going to be amazing. Even though Jeff kind of looked at me and was like, don't get your hopes up, dude. And that game is Deadly Towers by Broderbund. And wow, within the first 5 minutes, I said, yeah, I made a mistake. Why does the main character shoot a sword out of his crotch? Sure, I still had my Atari 2600 at this point, and I was used to playing Sword Quest, which did not have things that looked like graphics. But I was like, what is supposed to be happening in this game? What is going on here? I don't understand. Is this like a maze type of a game? Is this like Adventure on the 2600? My brain just couldn't process this. Jeff looked like he was just not having any of it. He knew that he'd asked his parents to buy him a dud, and he kind of resented the fact that I really wanted him to play it so I could see it. And that basically sealed the deal for me. I'm like, if he owns the game and he is like hating every second he's playing it, yeah. He eventually did pass the controller over to me so I could try it. And it took me a little while to get used to the way the pad works since I was used to a little joystick. And I said, oh my god, what was I thinking? I hated it. And I remember saying, if this is what the NES is all about, then I'm kind of glad that I still have my Atari 2600. And then he showed me Super Mario Brothers, and I said, I'll take it back. I didn't mean it. True story. This is definitely a WTF game because the graphics are terrible. It is vague. You don't know what you're supposed to do. You don't know where you're going. Things just kind of happen. The control of this game is terrible. The music is annoying as hell. Just everything about this game is just putrid. So why did I buy it, you ask? Nostalgia of a crappy game. Within a short span of time, I went from like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever to this is the worst thing ever. If WTF was a thing back in 1988, I probably would have said it out loud when I first saw this being played. So now let's hear from John Riggs about his WTF experience.
How are you feeling? John Riggs here, talking about my biggest WTF game of all time. The best, the worst, one of the two, I'm not exactly sure. Game's so dumb I got to put on a different pair of glasses for this one. This game, I waited 2 years to come out. I first heard about it, I was like, I couldn't wait. I loved the originals. I had to pick up the sequel, pseudo-sequel, super sequel. Talking about Ultimate Fighter for the Super Nintendo from Culture Brain. A game so bad that apparently Wesley Foxworth Jr. couldn't handle it anymore. He had to get rid of it. And I'm the sucker who picked it up later. I love the original. It's based on the Hiro no Ken series. There's a couple of them for Nintendo. Maybe you played Flying Dragon. Maybe you played Flying Warriors, which I love for the Nintendo. Same type of game, same music, same fighting style and stuff like that. But when I heard there was a Super Nintendo version coming out, man, I couldn't wait. Finally came out. I rented it. I didn't have any money to buy games back then. I rented the game from the video store. And it was, to put lightly, the biggest piece of crap I've ever played in my life.
What do you mean it's coming out clear?
I waited so long. The anticipation just completely threw me off. When you're playing the game, it's like it's missing 19 frames of animation. It's like it's buffering while you're playing the game. Like animation frames are loading in mid-load process or something like that. That's how choppy it is. Looking into the game, it should be great. Ultimate Fighter, are you kidding me? This is before UFC and all that. Different fighting techniques, different fighting styles. There's like the main fighter from karate or whatever his made-up dojo is called in there. Then there's like a wrestler. There's like someone who does like Hapkido Cane or something like that. And they're all pretty bad and terrible. So bad. So bad. Anyway, when you play the game too, if you ever do play it or check it out, the referee comes out of nowhere and like counts you to the 10 count before you can stand back up, and he's just like, the referee comes out and he's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He gives you no time at all. Wesley Farnsworth Jr., you suck. You should have kept the grenade so I wouldn't have had to pick it up. And now I'm blessed with owning my own copy. Yes, I rented it, and then later on, when I got back into collecting in the late 90s, early 2000s, I had to buy it again, just to remember how bad it was. So, my biggest WTF game for sure, Ultimate Fighter for the Super Nintendo. I wouldn't recommend it.
I did play Flying Dragon and a couple other Culture Brain games for the NES back in the day. They struck me as strange because they were more like simulation type fighting games than like an arcadey fighting game like we got on the NES a lot of the times. So I didn't know what to make of it, but nowadays I really appreciate what those games were. And I had no clue that there was another game in that series for the Super Nintendo. So thank you for introducing that to me. And I will probably never buy it because of what you said. You have saved me some money, friend. Internet bros, pound it. So my next WTF game is another one where hype got to me. But this one is a game that is part of a franchise that I have always adored ever since I first played the original game in the series. All of a sudden, we have jumped into this new dimension of gaming, and that is PlayStation and the 3D movement. This game was adapted to fit into that mold, just like most other old franchises were, and were not usually very successful. And this ended up being one of the worst things I had ever played up until that point. Contra Legacy of War. Do I even need to talk about this game? Contra, beloved franchise of run-and-gun games that started in the arcade, came to the NES, and just became this massive thing. And it sold NESs like crazy, because I know the first game we got when I was a kid, when we got our NES, was Contra. I mean, we begged for it. We had to have it. Super C, awesome. Operation C on the Game Boy, awesome. Contra 3 on the SNES, awesome. Contra on the Genesis, amazeballs. Contra on the PlayStation, everything about it is wrong. Just like Bubsy did not translate from a 2D to a 3D game, neither does Contra. The controls are just clunky as all hell. It does not feel like you're in control basically at all. You know, the weapons are awful. The graphics are just, what am I looking at? I mean, sometimes I can't even tell what I'm supposed to be shooting at. Worst of all, it just did not feel like Contra. Is this even supposed to be a part of this franchise? Because this feels absolutely nothing like what came before it. Not even the fact that you could play this in 3D with like 3D glasses worked. All it did was give me a migraine. Then again, everything about this game gave me a migraine, so there's that. What was worse was when I bought this game, I brought it over to a friend's house, and they kept telling me, will you please turn this off? And I was like, no, I want to play it. I want to see what this game is about. The whole game can't be like this, can it? And yes, it is. It gets progressively worse as it goes on. I mean, if you have a friend begging you to turn a game off because they'd rather watch a rerun of Tech War, that's saying something. And the funniest story I have about this game was I hated it so much, I stopped reading Game Fan magazine because of the quote that is on the back of this. Contra comes to life in this true to its roots first 32-bit version. If they actually said they liked this game, I could not take anything that they said seriously from that point on. Which is a fact. So Wood, tell us some of your WTF stories. I'm all ears, man.
Hi, I'm Wood from BetEmUps, and thank you, Chris, for having me on this video of WTF Games. I want to talk about a game right now which chills me to my core, and I recently did a video on this on my channel in the top 5 worst GameCube games, and it was #1, and it's a game that will forever make me ponder WTF, and that is Universal Studios, again, for the GameCube. This game is a complete mess. It is the worst game I've ever played, that I've ever touched, that I still have ever played to this day. It's the first game that I ever returned back to the store as a kid because I didn't want to touch it anymore. It is gross. I hate it. It's a really, really, really bad game. And let me explain why real quick. So, it's set in Universal Studios, and you think that would be fun because they have all of these franchises they can use, like Back to the Future and Jaws and etc., all the Universal movies. But instead, they don't. They focus on the theme park side of things, as in you're in the theme park. You're just a tourist wandering around this theme park that nothing is interactable, apart from a few NPCs that have nothing of value to say, and you just collect trash and you put it in the bin. That's literally all you do, is you get trash and you put it in the bin. You clean up the park. That way you earn enough tokens to be able to go on one of the rides, and the rides are about 30 seconds long to a minute long, and they're boring. They're just really, really boring. In fact, one of them, I think that's one of the last, like Waterworld, I'm pretty sure, you just crash a plane and you try and make it look as good as you can, but there's really only one way you can play it, and that's just crash this plane, and then that's it. You're done. The whole game is just crap. Everything about it is bad. There's no replayability, there's no playability, there's nothing in the game. You can't play it. It's bad. I don't know, like this, I want to be able to say more about it, but when the game is literally just picking up rubbish so that you can do a minigame for 30 seconds, that sucks. I got nothing. That game will just forever be WTF stamped all over it. The game sucks. Oh! I want to talk about Resident Evil Raccoon City for reasons. Since I've played this game, I've tried my hardest not to think about it, or to talk about it, or to mention it, because it's just a steaming pile of crap. It is the worst game in the Resident Evil franchise, and that's saying a lot because they've released a lot of really bad extension, spin-off titles for this series, and this is by far the worst one. You can play 4-player co-op. Me and my friends, growing up, we always played 4-player co-op games. We loved them, no matter what it was. Halo, Gears of War. If you could play 4 players, you Left 4 Dead, we were going to play it. And this game had 4 players, Resident Evil, we thought we'd give it a shot. I don't even know where to begin. They have the same 3 or 4 zombie models, just copy and paste it. And they're so obviously transparent. One is a cop. And it's, you know, blue and black outfit, looks like a cop, but he's a zombie. When you have 4 zombies and the whole game's full of zombies, you see that cop all the time. He's the one that stands out more than anything else. We started calling it zombie cops through playing it, because that's what the game was to us, a zombie cops. The gameplay sucked, it didn't feel good, the controls were loose and janky and horrible. Right at the end of the game, it gave you a choice out of nowhere. We played this game together. In fact, we didn't, because an hour in, one of the guys left. It never happened before, never walked out. He's like, I can't do it. He brought his Xbox to the house and everything. He packed up and he went home. He's like, look guys, we could play something else. We were like, no, we have to finish this. We went rented it. We went all around the state trying to rent 4 copies of the game from Blockbuster. So then it was 3 of us. We played this whole game in a night. We finished it. It was the worst experience. We were committed, so I can sit here and I can tell you how bad it is because I finished the damn thing. We get to the end and there's a choice. And then there are 3 of us. And I think you either join Leon or you kill Leon or something. Of course I picked to join him, the other 2 picked to kill him. So I'm on my own. They gun me down right away because it's 2v1. I lose. I don't get any achievements because I've lost the game. I get a really crappy ending out of playing the whole time. They get the good ending and they get the achievement for finishing the game. I got nothing. It sucked. The whole game sucked. Everything about it was really bad. That's Raccoon City. It's the worst Resident Evil game that's ever made. I don't recommend anyone play it because it's just bad. I think it's like $9 now. It's probably less. I hate it. That's that.
I totally feel you on that Universal Studios tour game. I rented that from the Blockbuster, and wow, I took it back the same night. I did not pay $3.50 to pick up trash. Virtual trash, but still. So what's my final WTF game? This is a game that was a WTF 22 years in the making. Back in 1991 when this game came out, I remember reading about it in magazines and seeing the ads for it and seeing the pictures and whatnot and thinking, that looks like an amazingly fun game. I am a huge science fiction fan. I love Star Trek. I kind of like Star Wars. I'm a big fan of robots, so like Pacific Rim, Voltron, dude, all about it. So when this game about robots came out, I had to have it. Only problem is I never did get it. Just one of those games I kept on saying I wanted and never bothered to pick up. But I always did want it, and I had always said over the years as I was collecting, you know, the next time I see this game, I really need to pick it up, regardless of the price, because I always wanted to play it. Mind you, I never read a review of it, so there's that. Game comes out in 1991. 2013, I get back into collecting again. And one of the first games I made an effort to pick up was this one. I actually said, now that I'm doing this again, we're not going to make that mistake again. You're buying it. You're buying it now. And I did. I went on eBay. I found a copy of it that was in good shape and was relatively inexpensive. I do believe I paid about $15 for this. The moment it showed up at my house, I popped it in and I said, okay, game, rock my world. And it did the exact opposite. I wanted to stone it to death. Heavy Nova. Napoleon Dynamite sigh. And what makes this game so bad, you ask? Well, how about everything? The game is sort of like a part beat 'em up and then part one-on-one fighting game. There's like a beat 'em up section that leads up to a one-on-one battle with another robot. The beat 'em up sections are choppy and frustrating to control because the controls just do not respond. There's at least a 2-second delay on every single thing you need to do. You want to jump? You press up on that controller. You might want to press up 2 seconds before you're supposed to do anything because you anticipate this stuff. You need to be a psychic to play this game. You hit that button and your character will go, okay, now. Hit detection on everything is ass. You'll be standing right in front of something and your foot will go like a pixel past the character and you will not hit anything. And that character is beating the living piss out of you at the same time. The graphics look like junk. It's like all monochrome and bland and it's just fugly. The music is like nails on a chalkboard. It's bad enough that you can barely control the thing. What's worse is that the computer is able to control all the opponents perfectly, without flaw. Every time you go to throw a kick at them, you just whiff by a little bit. They take advantage of it and they just pummel you into the ground. It is hard to get anywhere in this game, and you have no idea that like 22 years of build-up to me playing this game for the first time, it was almost devastating. It was like, what have I done with my life type of experience, where I basically played this game for about a half an hour, about as long as I could possibly stand. I ripped it out of my Genesis, I put it back in this case, and I threw this to the ground.
What, you think I'm stupid?
Touching this, I feel the need to wash my hands. Why is it even still in my collection if I feel this way about it? I like the way it stands out on my shelf. Nice gradient. It's the little things. And you best believe that I let out a very loud what the fuck that night. One of the worst games ever made. And then it got remastered for the Sega CD. Why do you hate us, Micronet? Why? Well, that's it. And I do want to thank my guests this evening, Felix from RAD Game Reviews, John Riggs, and Wood. Thank you very, very much for taking time out of your schedules to film a little clip for me. It is greatly appreciated. You sirs are awesome. As are my viewers, so if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button. Why not? And feel free to give the video a thumbs up if you like what you see. You like videos like this where I get guests to participate in the discussions about certain topics? Thumbs up lets me know that you do. Then I will make more. What are your WTF stories? Leave those in the comments below, on the Facebook page, on my Twitter, even on my Instagram. All the addresses for those can be found either in the end credits or in the description below. And if you really like this video, share it on the social media. So thanks for watching, and until next time, I am Chris, the old-ass retro gamer, signing off.
Hi, I'm Wood from BetEmUps, and thank you, Chris, for having me on this video. I didn't like that. Hey, I'm Wood from BetEmUps, and thank you, Chris, for having me on this video of what the fuck. I don't know if you want me to swear, so I'm going to try that a third time.
Use as much as you want.